Today we will be baking bread, and this is a special kind of bread. It's as healthy as can be. It has a very low glycemic index because it has zero white flour, so it's only whole grains, which is very good for your health. Because, for example, my goal is to stay fit and I'm on a complete sugar-free diet, but I love bread, and that's a problem, right? Because you're not supposed to eat so much carbohydrates. So my goal was to, okay, since I like eating bread, but I want to stay on the low carb diet, I wanted to come up with a recipe that would be as healthy as can be. So this is the result. I hope you like it. Okay, let's go over the ingredients, what we're gonna need, and the tools. You need the right tools. I actually spent some time trying to find the tools, the pans that are gonna fit into my oven, and I found these on Amazon, and the two of these actually fit perfectly into my oven. I don't know about the size of your oven, but they're like precisely going together, so I can bake two breads. So in terms of the tools, you're gonna need a Dutch oven, a thick Dutch oven. And also you're gonna absolutely need the scale. Just any basic scale is gonna work. I got this from Amazon again. Cheapest one, I think Amazon Basics. Also you're gonna need a bowl where you put your bread to proof. And so I got this from Amazon. I spent some time trying to figure out the perfect sizing. So the size of this bowl perfectly fits into this one. I mean, when you put the bread here, it proofs, then the size of the bread, of the loaf, is perfectly, it goes inside of this pan. So this is that, and I'm gonna post some links for you guys in terms of the sizing so that you can understand the difference in the shape and sizes. So this is that. Next thing is, first thing, we're going to need the starter. So I just took this out from the fridge. I actually store it in the fridge for a week, and I bake once a week. So it's pretty cold right now. The starter. Next thing is you need water, just plain water. Sesame seeds, it's optional, but it just gives a nice flavor. And caraway seeds, then olive oil, extra virgin olive oil. This one is from Trader Joe's, but anything is gonna work. Any olive oil. You also need some salt, obviously. No sugar at all. In terms of the flour is the most important part. And let's spend some time looking at that. First, I really like this flour. It's sprouted whole wheat flour, and I usually buy it in Whole Foods. So this is that. You can get any any whole wheat flour. As long as it's whole wheat, it doesn't contain any other flours, it's gonna work fine. But this is the kind that I get from Whole Foods. The next one is the rye flour. So this is, I think I got this one from again, Whole Foods or Wegmans. So two places to get this one. You can actually substitute again with any whole wheat, whole grain organic rye, or any rye. There's another kind that I get sometimes if I can't find this one is Arrowhead. It's really common. I mean, seriously, you can find it anywhere pretty much. Harris Teeter, Wegmans, Whole Foods as well. Always, like, it's everywhere. Arrowhead. That one works as well. I can also paste some links for you so that you can visually recognize it in the store. Next one is we are gonna need some buckwheat flour. So I threw away the packaging, so that's why it's in a jar. In general, I always store my flour in containers like this, because it helps with moisture control and that kind of stuff. So I usually don't store the flour in the original packaging. I just immediately place it in containers. I got these from Target. Another important part is ground flaxseed. You can get this one from Whole Foods. has to be ground. It's the ground flaxseed. You know, just basic thing, you can always find it there. It's just always there. They also have, recently I think Whole Foods added another kind that has like ground flaxseed, chia seeds, and something else. So that one works as well. It's like a little bit crunchier. I prefer this one, just plain flaxseed, to be honest. And I think that's it in terms of the ingredients that we need. One more thing is, so, I mean, you can, of course, knead the dough with your hands, but let me tell you this. I mean, I used to do that by hand. I used to knead the dough by hand, but it's so hard. It's so difficult, time-consuming. I highly recommend getting yourself a KitchenAid. Like, seriously, it's gonna make your life so much easier. Yeah, highly recommend this one. Okay, guys, let's start. Let's actually start mixing our ingredients. First thing is, you're gonna need obviously your mixing bowl from the KitchenAid and your scale. So you put your mixing bowl on the scale and press the button to make it 0. You know, so that it's 0. From there, you take your starter, and let's actually talk about the starter. I got this one from a friend. So I know that some people actually make the starter from scratch, on their own. I've never done this, and I've heard that it's pretty easy. Like, you just need flour and water. It is doable, but we're not gonna go over it today because, you know, I didn't do it myself and I just got it from my friend. He shared it, and what I do is, how do you work with it, right? You feed it, meaning just put water and flour once a week. So for example, you're baking on Saturday, like today it's Saturday, or Sunday on the weekend, right? And you feed the starter and then you put it back into the fridge, and it's completely fine. It's gonna be fine there for a week. And so from here, let's talk about adding the starter, the quantity. It's like really bubbly there right now. You can take a look, you know, can you see that? I guess, hopefully. It's like really bubbly. It's been there for a week. So you need 100 to 120 grams of the starter. So you're just putting it here and you're measuring it, right? 100, okay. This is the starter. It goes here. Next, you're gonna need this. You're leaving a little bit of leftovers inside, like maybe 1/4 has to go back, like it has to stay inside because you're gonna need those bacteria going forward, right? So in this case, take the bowl. You have 100 grams there of starter. Put it aside. Then take your jar of the starter. And sometimes I put it into a I think this time I'm gonna put it in a fresh jar, you know, just to make it tidy and clean. It's not necessary. You can like reuse the same jar multiple weeks, to be honest, or like a couple of weeks. So in this case, I'm gonna put the starter in the new jar and feed it. Okay guys, how do we feed the starter? So just like I mentioned, right? We're gonna put it into the leftovers, and you can see how much do I have, and I'm actually measuring that, and you should be measuring the leftovers as well of the starter. You're placing everything in a new jar. Right now I have 50 grams, and let me get the rest of it from the jar here, like this, so that nothing is left behind. I mean, like that, right? So 62 grams. The reason you want to measure that is, so like this is your starter that's gonna go into the new bread. It looks like this right now. So what we're gonna do is 63 grams. You have to put, if you know, it's basically 1-to-1, right? Proportions are 1-to-1. So if you have 63 grams of the starter, you need 63 grams of water plus 63 grams of rye flour, and that's it. Like, when you put everything, you put it away for a week. So now we're gonna put some flour in here. 63 grams of flour. And I have like a little measuring cup. I mean, I never measure anything with those. I just use them as just like spoons pretty much. Okay. So we need 63 grams of rye flour to go. This is like the food for this starter. And then you press, the scale so that it's 0. It's easier just this way. Instead of calculating like, okay, 63 plus 63, you just can press 0 and go from there. Now you can do 63 again. So 63 grams of water. And I recommend actually pouring it very slowly because it's really easy to overdo it, but then you can't take the water out. So 64, okay. What you do next is you mix it with the same spoon, I guess. Works fine. Mix it really well, thoroughly, so that all corners of the jar are filled. Like there is no flour left, like dry flour. Has to be mixed with water and with the older thing. That's it. Okay, so then when you're done with that, you actually just cover your jar, put it in the fridge for the next time. So it's gonna be fine for a week. If you don't bake next week, then you have to take it out. You have to throw away, unfortunately, half of this starter, and then do the same thing pretty much. Measure and do it 1-to-1. Same amount of the flour and water. Okay guys, let's go back to our mixing bowl. At the moment we have there our starter. We put it back. We turn the scale on 0. Next, we put the water. 350 grams of water. And you measure everything all the time. Like every single time you have to measure all your ingredients. 350. 350 water. Next, we do the flour. We add the flour. Okay, let's start with actually our rye flour. Since we're making rye bread, I'm using a mixture of the rye flour. Everything is whole grain, very important. You want to lower the glycemic index of your bread. That's the goal. That was actually the thought that convinced me to start looking into healthier options of the bread, because there's nothing worse for your body than white flour. White flour is poison. Don't eat that. It turns into quick carbohydrates and your body absorbs it just like sugar. So avoid white flour at all costs. In this case, we're gonna use whole grain rye flour. Rye flour is great because it's, again, one of the lowest glycemic indexes of flours, but it is very dense. So the bread is gonna be very dense as well. It's not gonna be like super fluffy and like croissant type of thing, no. But it's gonna taste amazing, promise. So we're putting 200 grams of rye flour. 200 grams. If you'd like, again, this step is optional. You can put either 200 grams of rye flour, or you can mix it with buckwheat flour if you'd like. Buckwheat has like a very specific flavor to it. If you like this flavor, you can substitute 50 grams of this 200 grams with buckwheat, and that's what I'm gonna do. So right now I put 150 grams of rye flour, and then this time I'm gonna use the buckwheat. By the way, keep in mind, some people for some reason they have allergies to buckwheat, so make sure that you don't. So we're putting 50 grams of buckwheat, and you can see that it's like a little bit darker. Yes, we have 200 grams here. So in this case, 150 of rye bread, of rye flour, and 50 grams of buckwheat, or just 200 grams of rye flour. Next, we're adding our whole wheat flour. Again, it has to be whole grain. 200 and about 230, I would say. And 20 grams, we're gonna do the, 20 grams of flaxseed, ground flaxseed. So 230. And then you can do, the proportions depend on your taste. So in general, we need 250 grams of whole wheat. You can substitute some of this amount with ground flaxseed, and it depends on your taste. Again, like for example, in this case, I'm gonna use a little bit, I'm gonna use 230 grams of the whole wheat, and then 20 grams of the ground flaxseed. You can do, for example, 220 of the flour and 30 grams. It depends on your preferences. So a little bit of this, 30 grams. Okay, we're almost done. We have just a few ingredients left. We're done with our flours, different types of flours. Next, we're going to add the salt. The important thing is that you have to measure the amount that you're adding. In this case, we're adding 10 grams of salt, always the same amount, 10 grams. And you weigh everything, just like I mentioned, and it's gonna be 10 grams. Okay. And we're done with weighing everything. We can like turn off the scale, and this time we're gonna add some olive oil. In this case, usually I do like maybe 2 tablespoons or 1 tablespoon. I just look at it and I'm guessing the amount. I do, just visually trying to assess how much do I need. Let's put some caraway seeds again, like just sprinkle it a little bit. I'm not sure how much I put, I guess 1 teaspoon probably. And then next one is sesame seed, just sprinkle on top a little bit again. Maybe like a teaspoon would do, depending if you really like sesame seeds, put some more. If you don't, whatever. And pretty much that's it. We're done with ingredients. We just have to mix everything. We're gonna go to our KitchenAid now and mix. Okay, I put the mixing bowl here and make sure to secure it so that it doesn't fall down. That would be a disaster. You put it, put the mixing thing there, and you start mixing on the lowest speed that you have. On my KitchenAid, the lowest speed says stir, so pretty much you're just stirring. And okay, what's gonna happen next is the flour is gonna stick to the sides. What you're gonna do is you're gonna take, those are another tools that I forgot to mention. Those are like little, how are they called? I'm not sure. Like little things, spools, whatever, that are very handy when you're actually working with this. Can you come closer and look at it? So here, as you can see, the flour is stuck around, on the sides. When that happens, what you need to do is stop it and then pull it up and use this little thing, handy tool, whatever it is, on the sides. It's actually made of silicone. It's made of silicone, and you are like just bunching this flour back so that it doesn't get stuck again. You have to do it just once, and that's it. Okay, and continue. You should be stirring for about, I don't know, like maybe 5 minutes until it's consistent. Like it's very consistent, and you don't see the flour or water there. When it is consistent, you can stop and give it a rest for about, I don't know, 10-15 minutes. and then stir one more time. So I'm gonna turn it on and stir for 5 minutes, maybe like 10, I don't know, depending on the flour and your KitchenAid, the speed. You're gonna stir it, and then we're gonna pause. Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes or maybe 15 minutes since we let it rest. Now the second phase, we're gonna stir it again one more time for maybe 2 minutes, and then after that we're gonna actually put it into the proofing basket. So let's start stirring. Stir for a couple of minutes and stop. Okay guys, so now we're done. It's been stirring for about 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes. Next step is we're gonna clean up the KitchenAid a little bit, again using the same scraper, like this. I actually looked up how this thing is called. This thing is called scraper. And this is a dough cutter. So dough cutter scraper, that's what you need. And it's like a little bit flexible. The sides are flexible. What you need is, I'm actually using white rice flour. It's not super important which one. You can use like maybe a whole wheat flour that you already have. But this one gives the bread a nice, interesting color, right? Like a little bit of a hint of white, and I like just the look of it. And the reason why I'm doing this is you take your proofing basket and you sprinkle it a little bit on the bottom so that the bread doesn't stick. That's the whole point of it. Like you need very little of it, rice flour. From here, you are taking your dough and using the scraper, you put it here like this. You put it, you just dump it in there like this. And as you please pay attention how, and note how the dough looks like right now, because it's an important thing. Here we're doing this, and just, you know, shape it like this. It's not important how, it's not supposed to be perfectly flat or anything, or like round. Just shape it like so, you know, whatever. Because the reason, just make sure that it doesn't stick to the sides. Some people, I know that some people are actually shaping it by hand, making it like pretty and stuff. Some people are doing stretch and fold. That's a method to have more gluten there so that it's more fluffier. In my case, I figured out, like after trial and errors, that I'm content with the way it turns out if you just dump it and let it proof. So that's my method. But again, alternatives are you can actually put it on the counter and shape it, but it's messy, and you know, I don't see a huge difference in the quality of the bread, so you can do it like so. And then your hands are completely clean, it's easy. Next step, we have our bread here, and now we're going to have the cap, like a little cloth type of cap. It came with the basket, and you cover it. Next step is very important. It has to proof, meaning it has to like become bigger. We need the little bubbles to form inside of the bread so that it's not as dense. So in this case, the most important thing is the temperature in your house. If it's warm, like today it's April 18th, and it's really warm today, warm day. So you can put it on the counter and leave it for a few hours. Or if it's really cold, if it's winter, or you're running your AC really low, then there is a hack. Very important thing to know. Like it really made a difference for me when I figured this out. If it's cold, what you're gonna do is take the basket and place it in the oven. Do not turn it on, like do not. Just put it there and turn the light on. For example, my light bulb is at the top of the oven. Just put it right under this light bulb and leave it there for like about an hour. Again, The tricky part here is that there's no specific time of the proofing because it depends on the temperature. So sometimes it can take like 4 hours, or maybe if you put it into the oven, then it's gonna take maybe like an hour. So it depends. And how do you figure out if it's done proofing? By the look of it. So pretty much you just take a look at it, it becomes lighter and it has to go up. So let's let it proof. When it's ready, I'm gonna show you how it's supposed to look and you will be able to identify, okay, now we're gonna put it in the fridge. That's it. So just in my case, it's really warm. I'm gonna just leave it here for maybe, I don't know, 3 hours or 4 hours. And after that, we're gonna come back to it and I'll show you how it's supposed to look so that you know that too. Yes, so this is our bread. It's been about 4 hours and now it's done proofing. And as you can see, it approximately doubled in size. It's puffy right now, so it's like round and puffy. That's why it was not important to shape it, because it's gonna shape itself, right? And it's actually covered in a little bit of a crust, so it's like it's kind of a breathing type of sensation if you look at it. Now what we're gonna do is we cover it and it's ready for the second phase. For the second phase, we're gonna send it to the fridge and it's gonna spend there about 8 to 10 hours. In the morning, we're gonna bake it. So the reason we need to divide the fermentation into 2 phases is that the first one, it's rapid rising, and then the second is slow fermentation. And this is where the bacteria are, working on the fermentation. And yeah, I guess it's ready to go into the fridge. I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we're gonna bake it. Good morning, guys. It's the next morning, and today what we're gonna do is we are going to take our Dutch oven and place it into the oven. We need to warm up the oven to 450 degrees Fahrenheit, and we have to have the Dutch oven inside while it's warming. So the plan is to put our loaf of bread that's currently in the fridge. We're gonna take it and put it into the hot Dutch oven. Please use your mittens because it's gonna be burning hot. So that's the first step. And we wait. I just took out the bread from the fridge. It spent about 10 hours there. It's pretty cold. Now I'm going to use regular parchment paper, any kind would do. I need just a little piece that would cover the sides of the Dutch oven. We flip the proofing basket like this. And now, here's our bread. So as you can see, it's actually keeping its shape really nicely, and there is like a little crust on top. What we're gonna do is we need to score. Scoring means just cutting some lines, or like some lines in the dough. I'm actually using X-Acto knife to be honest, and it's been working pretty well. It's super sharp. I know that there are some specific tools to do that. I haven't tried them personally, but X-Acto knife that I got from Michael's has been working like a charm, like perfectly. I cut it, in a cross shape like this, and the reason why we do that is that we wanted to keep the shape nicely. So that's the reason I do that. Now we take our Dutch oven from the oven. It's gonna be super hot. Like this. And next we have to move pretty quickly. We're going to put our dough like this inside. And these are the handles that you're gonna use to pull it out when it's super hot. Like this, and cover. We need to move pretty quickly so that the metal of the Dutch oven doesn't cool down. And now it's going back into the oven like this. Next, take your timer and set 35 minutes. Okay, the bread has been in the oven for 35 minutes. Now we're gonna take off the lid quickly, shut the door of the oven, and keep it there for 15 more minutes. Also, reduce the temperature to 425. So quickly shut it, put the lid somewhere, and reduce the temperature. 425, we're waiting for 15 more minutes, so set your timer. Okay, our bread is ready. And here it is. Here's the bread. What we do now is, just like I said before, we need the handles, right, to pull it out. We use them, we use the parchment paper as a handle, and we just slide it up, like so. So here's our bread. And ideally you want to wait about 6 hours or 8 hours until it completely cools off before you eat it. But of course it smells so nice, so delicious. If you wanna, I usually just cut a little bit of it still and eat it, but then I leave it alone for another 6 hours. Because if you are going to cut it right now, it's going to roll into like little pieces, which is not ideal. So ideally just wait until it cools off for a few hours. That's it.